Hello and welcome to Letters from Camp. In this episode, we'll be speaking with Jeff Dee, a former camp director of Camp Winoxet. Jeff, good to have you with us tonight.
Thanks, Mike. Good to talk to you.
So we like to start out kind of just getting, your camp story. When did you first come to camp? Where did you, how long were you a camper? What areas did you work in? Kind of what was your journey through camp?
Yeah. So it's funny. My first year at camp was probably 1977 because one of my older brothers went to camp. And I remember driving down because it used to be after you hit the Monadnock camp, it turned into a dirt road. And it's like that's the one memory I have. But the first time I attended camp was in 1986, the year of revival. And so that had a huge impact on me and how I thought about camp. And we stayed in the Sioux campsite. And I don't remember much about that year, to be honest with you, except I climbed Mount Monadnock. And yeah, that's actually all that's all I really remember from that year. But yeah, year of revival. I remember that. Jeff Bradbury, Jeff Maxwell, Bob Spear, Dan Soames, Terry Newton, Gary Shepard, all those guys. Steve Hoff. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And so then when did you kind of make the leap to being a staff member?
Um, so it's kind of funny. I only joined the staff because there was another kid in my troop. I don't even know if I really thought about joining the staff, but there was another kid in my troop. And he wanted to go on staff. So I said, all right, I'll do it, And there were a couple of us that year. It was 1989 was our first year. And that's when CIT Village, I don't know if Brownsee's still over by the shower house, that old, Yeah. So I used to so our year in 89, we actually had to create CIT Village. I was with Jason Rakeup, Jeremy Sappett, Truckee, Fred McCauley, Craig Johnson. But anyways, so we had to build our own CIT Village. It was CIT Village. It was actually kind of like Lord of the Flies because 8:30 programming done. We would go and have bonfires. You could see it from the road and stuff. But yeah. It's pretty cool. And so then, that was 89 CIT. And then I don't, 90 I was at Field Sports up in Macaulay. I don't know if it's still Macaulay Field, but I was Macaulay Field. And then 91, I did that. And then I went to the kitchen halfway through. And then I think 92, I was at Nature, 93, Handicraft, 94, Handicraft, 95, Scoutcraft. And then 90, what did I do in 96? Oh, I think I was program director in 96. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Dan Soames was camp director. And then I took a sabbatical for 97, 98, 99. I was at Split Rock. And then 2000, I came back as camp director. Yeah, because I met you at Split Rock.
Yep. And then
Well,
you
I
were
mean,
camp
you were
director.
CIT, but yeah.
Yeah. And then you were camp director for 5 years till 2005.
Yeah, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I think, a little bit of why I wanted to have you on here is a little bit self-serving because I think to staff members of my generation, you were definitely a big influence on us, because kind of hit it at the right time where we were kind of coming of age with you as camp director and stuff. And one thing I really took away from you as camp director was your mentality of like work hard, play hard. And so I think on some nights it wouldn't be uncommon for us to, be raking the parking lot or cleaning the dining hall or things like that. But on other times, it could be raining and we'd be sliding down a field, that.
Yeah.
So how did that develop for you? That kind of work hard, play hard attitude?
Do you remember actually? I remember you and Fournier were walking up the hill by the ad building. And I remember you told me later, you're like, it was downpour and you just saw these guys sliding down the hill. And I think you or Mike told me afterwards, oh, Jeff's going to be pissed. And then I was the one kind of directing him.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that I don't know if it was just because my older brothers growing up and they were all in scouts. Um, I think maybe it came from um maybe a little bit of camp, Tom Swift when he was camp director. He had a good attitude about that. I don't know if it came from anywhere in particular. Um, but I do remember, yeah, work hard, play hard. I mean, it was camp was a lot of fun, but it was also a lot of work,
Mhm.
right? I mean, it's crazy sometimes the hours you're putting in. But yeah, I guess it kind of came from all that. Definitely, definitely Tom Swift when he was camp director. I remember a couple of that. Um, and I think growing up with my four older brothers, and yeah, yeah,
And as as someone who doesn't live in this area anymore, a lot of us still live near camp. We can go visit, we can, go see our friends and do events and stuff like that. Do you still find camp kind of influencing you, or, how do
every
you
day,
every day?
every
Okay.
day. I easily would say every day. I mean, whether it's actually every day, but a lot of times camp. Oh yeah, my gosh. I mean, I haven't been back to camp since 2012. Yeah, since your wedding.
Mhm.
But yeah, the guys I grew up with, Danny Megan, um, yeah, Arthur Lomax, Matt Taylor, Phil, James Caveney, Michael Lavoy, all those guys. Um, Definitely, yeah, I still tell stories about some of the craziest stuff we did, and I'll still laugh sometimes about the stuff that we did when I was camp director, and I'm like, I don't know how we ever got away with these things, and um yeah, so I think about camp often. I actually have um Jack Walsh, handicraft director for a couple years. He's from New Hampshire. I had him paint me a picture. I think it was my last year, last summer. I had him paint me a picture of Monadnock from the lake.
Mhm.
So I actually have that in my house. Um, and no, wait a minute. You know what? It's in my office now. Actually, I have it in my office. It used to be in the house, and then when I got promoted to CEO, I put it in my office. So it's a nice reminder. And actually, I have um, also in my office. Can't remember what year it was, but at the end of the summer, remember we had those 12 patches that
Yep.
Jack Walsh designed,
Yep.
and so and we got them all framed, and so I have that up in my office. Um, yeah, I think about camp often, and a lot of the actually it's a lot of the things I do now. Um, I compare it to camp. I'm like, all right, what would I have done at camp, or how did I do this at camp, or um, I mean, camp actually is how, uh, you know, when I got out of teaching, right? When I left camp, I got out of teaching, and I got into fundraising because of camp, actually. Uh, so uh, Camp had a huge impact in my life, um, for better or worse. No, it's all good. Yeah, it was good times. Sounds like I'm dying, but I'm
Yeah.
not. Um,
Um, okay, so we're gonna move into a segment we call the lightning round. So this is just based on some of your favorite things at camp. So here we go. Just first answer that comes to mind.
okay, got it.
All right, here we go. So what is your favorite camp song?
Oh, you know what it was? Way Up in the Sky. Big Birdies Fly. Yeah, yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, Tom Swift introduced that 92, 93, and that's a good song. Or the other one, Hullabaloo.
Mhm.
Dale Baskin introduced that one when he was program director in the 90s. That's another good one, especially the staff version.
Mhm. What is your favorite camp skit?
Well, Danny Megan would hated it, but the skit you and I did? What was it? Not Camelot. The pot. No,
Yeah, yeah, we would call it the Camelot skit.
yeah, Camelot skit.
Yeah.
I remember, yeah, we did that because we did that when we were at Split Rock,
Yep.
and then we did a Winoxet, and I just remember Danny, because it's a long skit, right? And Danny, I remember him being like, "Oh my god, I hate this skit; it's so long." There was another skit that was Jared Quinn, Sean Walker, Jared. I don't know. One year we got a hold of a golf cart that had sirens. I don't know if you remember this. And Jared Quinn, I think he was rifle director that year. He came in as the cop. Then I don't know if this was Jared Quinn or John Paul McNiff, but the deer, remember he'd
Oh,
shoot
yes.
the gun in the middle of I was like,
What is your favorite camp meal?
roast beef. Actually, no, meatloaf.
Meatloaf is a good one.
Thursday night meatloaf. Yep. I remember
Uh,
Matt Ford,
love the heel.
I remember would be at the head table. Meatloaf night. Matt Ford never sat with us because he's like, I'm gonna go out, because you get more meatloaf, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then Friday night would be turkey or roast beef, depending on the week.
What is your favorite place in camp?
Chapel, probably. Yeah, I'd say chapel.
And
Yeah, it's the view of camp, and
it's definitely a popular answer.
yeah. Okay, good. Whew.
And was there someone who, when you were a camper, you looked up to as like your camp hero, or like the staff member you really kind of was a role model for you?
So I thought about this question and I can't narrow it down. So here's everybody when you ask me that question, I think about Terry Newton, which that's a blast from the past. I don't even know if you know him, but Terry Newton, Jeff Maxwell, Gary Shepard, Bob Spear, Dan Soames, Dale Baskin. Those, I think, I just remember 86, Steve Hoff. I remember, like I said, I just remember 86 era revival. Like those are the guys that I remember. 86, 87. I wasn't there in 88. And then 89 when I got on staff. When I got on staff, definitely Dan Soames, Bob Spear. Those were probably the two biggest impacts. But those other guys, I mean, just yeah. Crazy good.
And one bonus question, which I did not send to you in
Oh
advance.
geez. Oh my gosh.
So you have worked for Habitat for Humanity for quite some time. Have you gotten to meet Jimmy Carter?
I have not gotten to meet Jimmy Carter. Well, it was me in a room with 3,000 other people.
Oh.
But it was cool. The guy is 97 years old. Say what you want about his politics. I give him a lot of credit. Today, the cool thing about President and Mrs. Carter in 84, they did their first Carter week, work week. So they go all around the country, and then they start going internationally. He still actively works. So he's not like he's there just to like sit and look pretty. Matter of fact, the story is that he gets really upset with people that come up to him and want to shake their hands when he's working, because he's like, if you're doing that, then you're not working. So like obviously he's very generous and, very respectful, but it's really funny how, I mean, if I live to be 90, I just want to be able to like chew my food. You know what I'm saying? And here's this guy and his wife that are just, I mean, they're just amazing people. So I've never met him. I've met him secondhand through some people I know through Habitat. But yeah, so I always say he didn't start Habitat, but he's our most famous volunteer. So it's pretty cool. He's it's just pretty cool that you get a former president. This is a kind of cool story. 84. So he's 58 because I think he's 58. anyways, in 84, their first Habitat work week is in New York City. So he gets on a bus, former president of the United States, gets on a bus, drives up to New York City, and all the volunteers are sleeping in a gym on cots or whatever. And so is President Carter and Mrs. Carter. Like, they could sleep. I mean, they could sleep anywhere.
Mhm.
You know, they still got Secret Service, but he's on the cot just like any other, any other person. So he's a very honorable guy. I give him a lot of credit for that. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time, and thanks for joining us. And viewers, next month we'll have another episode of Letters from Camp, and hope you'll tune in. Thanks, Jeff.
Hey, no problem, Mike. Thanks.